Imagine you're on a plane right now. You're going to whatever it is that you go when you get on a plane. And at that level, way up in the sky, where they serve you coffee and your belt is off, you discover that the pilot does not actually have hands. Most of us would suddenly stop what they were doing. Some of us would put the belts back on. And yet others would want to say, someone please stop this plane right now, I want to get off. But why? Why do we think it's okay to judge someone's abilities based on how they look? Where did we inherit that philosophy from? According to sociologists, there are so many variables at play that have created the kind of society that we have today. A society that is disabling because of narratives that we have passed from generation to generation conclusively. World Health Organization estimates that a little over 1 billion women, men, and children in the world have some kind of disability. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people to pay no attention to. And I am certain that everyone that is listening to me right now has either seen, know, or is related to someone with disabilities. In the last 10 years of my life as an occupational therapist and as a human, my path has crossed with those of hundreds and hundreds of children with different medical conditions. Conditions that made them physically, emotionally, and intellectually challenged. But trust me, not a single one of them came to me with zero abilities. Up to this moment, I have not seen one child who was hopeless, who was useless, who was expendable. Which is why I think it's important for you and I to join this conversation now. Join efforts in creating societies that are more accessible, more inclusive. Anthropologists believe that disability as a concept is rarely found in many traditional societies. Rather, societies around the world have tended to group together persons with specific types of disabilities, like the blind, the deaf, and so on. But general categories such as the unfortunate, the abnormal, the handicapped, is still in our language even today. Based on our perceptions and our attitudes, the list is endless. In an article published in an Express magazine of the UK in October 2016, World Health Organization somehow made a drastic move and suggested that infertility should actually be considered a disability. But is infertility the only other thing that should be considered a disability? How many of us cannot make a friend or keep one for 2 months? How many of us cannot focus on one thing until it's done? How many of us are functionally affected by phobias? We all struggle with something, don't we? But where do we draw the line? Where does normal human difference end and where does disability begin? Most people in any given population will say that they are right-handed. A minority are left-handed, and a few are ambidextrous. Just by show of hands, how many are left-handed here? Few. Is this why we keep telling our children, Lucy, you cannot greet people with that hand? You cannot eat with that hand, it's a bad hand. Is this why? We have placed our inadequacies on a spectrum. That on this side are weaknesses, and on this side, disabilities. People on this side are able, people on this side are disabled. Do we have abilities that people with disabilities don't have? Yes. Do they have abilities that we don't have? Absolutely yes. I respect the fact that some persons with disabilities have no problems with the term disability. They have agreed to keep it as their identity. It is not my intention to change that or take it away from them. But this talk is for that girl in the village locked up in a room because she has epilepsy and her own family believes that she is cursed. Those physically challenged children in the village who've never seen the inside of a classroom because no school around them is accessible. That youth with Down syndrome or autism spectrum disorder who cannot get a job because employers believe that they'll be an embarrassment to other employees and customers. That girl you sent back to the village because her head is bigger than her body size and that she's incontinent. This talk is a call to action. Action towards making people with disabilities visible. I suggest a campaign that I believe we can passionately and practically work on together. This is not the first campaign, and it won't be the last. Let's call this campaign SASA. SASA is a Swahili word that means now. And for the sake of this campaign, look at each letter in the word SASA as a category with tasks. You might want to take some notes. The first category, sociable language. Instead of calling them people with disabilities, what if we use the expression people with different abilities? I acknowledge and respect other opinions, but my viewpoint is based on the belief that the words we use shape us. They shape those around us, and they shape our societies. We give our children positive and strong names with positive meanings because language helps shape our perception, and our perception determines our behavior. By different abilities, I don't mean less able. This name will not automatically take away all the challenges faced by people with different abilities. No. But from experience, a positive and friendly environment promotes growth at a personal and interpersonal level. Most adults have conditioned themselves to look away when they meet a person with different abilities. They think it's polite, or they do it because they fear to say or do something wrong. And as parents, we tell our children not to stare at people who are different. But children are a curious breed. When they notice the difference, they will ask, often loudly in public, "Mommy, why is that boy drooling? Dad, if that lady is blind, as you say, how come she's reading a book?" Children's curiosity is to be embraced, not silenced. Teach them to answer. Teach them to be nice. Teach them to say hello to that boy and that lady reading a book. Second category, awareness. Those are toys. And I'm curious to know how many parents here can buy one of those and take home for their kids to play with. This is a way to start the conversation about people with different abilities with your children. Put these toys together with the common ones that you have, the Ben 10s and the Spider-Man and the Barbie, put them together with these. But explain to your children why that girl has a chair that has wheels. Always remember to start with abilities, then the challenge. Create beautiful pieces of art of people with different abilities. It's easy to put a sculpture of a Maasai man in your living room that you've never met. But how about we also put a sculpture of a woman on a wheelchair in her beautiful kitenge dress? It is a way to embrace the impairments that we get as humans. Some of them are inevitable. Read to your children bedtime stories with characters that have different abilities. Create animations and films showing the beauty and skills of people with different abilities. Let our children play with those that have different abilities. Let them sit together at church, at the mosque, at the temple. Let them play together. Let them share the same school buses and the same playgrounds. Most stand-up comedians will rarely tell a joke about people with different abilities. There is humor in everything. Let's laugh it out respectfully. I suggest learning institutions to incorporate a session or a lecture about people with different abilities in their curriculums. Third category, space. By space, I refer to opportunities, literally taken from the Swahili phrase, wape nafasi. Give people with different abilities opportunities. Give them space. When we hear the word opportunity, most of us think of schools, jobs, career, and so on. But the first and the most important opportunity you could give a child, any child, is genuine acceptance in a family. Family is the first institution that a child comes to. And from my observation, children with different abilities that come from supportive families, they tend to be treated better even outside their families. A supportive family will do everything they can to give their loved ones proper therapy, treatment. They will look schools for them. They will be a part of their development to the maximum possible level of independence. It starts in the family. If you purchase a product that has a sticker on it that says, made by people with different abilities, please keep that sticker. It is another way to increase visibility. Don't tear it off. I agree that some children with different abilities will need more assistance longer into their lives than others. It is their right as humans to get that assistance. But we will never know their potential if we don't give them a chance. More than one chance, actually. Don't we all need more than one chance? Fourth category, accessibility. Accessibility simply means a friendly environment. It's easy to create infrastructures that are inclusive than wait until we need to. Most banks in Arusha don't have a ramp. Does that mean people on wheelchairs don't need bank accounts? I wouldn't be able to give this talk today if I was using a wheelchair. There are no ramps. Accessibility means investing in assistive technology. For you and I, technology makes things easier, but for a person with different abilities, technology makes things possible. Accessibility means changing our perceptions, changing our narratives. Now, we could sit and wait for the government, or we could individually start small. If you have a step in front of your business, install a wooden ramp. Get someone that uses a wheelchair to test that ramp. Or better, get the wheelchair, sit on it, and test the ramp yourself. With these four categories, I am certain that there are actions that you and I can start with right away. Right away. The prevalence of medical conditions like Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, stroke, spinal cord injury, vascular dementia is on the rise every year. Most of us that don't have a disability now might have one in the future. Others might have a friend or a relative that will be disabled. I'm standing here today giving this talk, and tomorrow I'm sitting on a wheelchair. How do I want the society to address me? If your child is diagnosed with attention deficit hyperactive disorder or cerebral palsy, how do you want the society to treat your child? Now, most of you are already creditable ambassadors for children and people with disabilities. Thank you. But I have no words for families that have been blessed with children, partners, or siblings with different abilities. Your love, your passion, your support is honorable. With people like them and you, we could create a more accessible, a more inclusive society. We could create SASA homes and SASA schools and SASA cities. We could create a society that sees abilities in everyone and not disabilities in someone. Thank you.